Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Jaquel. It's been a while. And finally I am back with the April A.M.A. And you might be wondering, it's in June, wasn't this supposed to go up in May? Yes, and I will explain that in a channel update at the end of the video, but since I know there are some people who have been waiting, let's just get into it. Seda asked the question, I remember you said you play guitar or bass, my memory is failing me right now. What's your go-to song to play? Cool thing, I play both, but I am much more experienced and well-versed in the electric guitar, and I know a little bit of bass. The thing is, I don't really have one go-to song to play whenever I plug it in, which unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do because that is in storage at the moment. Whenever I go to play my guitar, when I have the opportunity, I just play some of the same songs that I've been playing since I was a teenager as the warm-up. Amongst those songs are You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi, Iron Man by Black Sabbath. There are a few others in there, such as the main riff of Beat It, such as, I believe, For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica usually is in the rotation. And every now and then, I will make another attempt to play Thunder Horse by Death Clock. For those of you who remember the TV show Metalocalypse, that'll make a lot more sense. Or those who played Guitar Hero 2, I believe that's the one that it was on, was number 2. I know how to play it. That doesn't always mean that my fingers are wanting to coordinate, it's the sweep picking. I've been playing guitar and I still am not good at sweep picking. And sometimes I need the humble reminder that I still got a lot of work to do in learning how to play guitar. And then on bass, I don't know that one as well. I can play, but I'm not going to be up there like Les Claypool or the guy from Tool. I can keep in rhythm, I can keep in time, I can hold down a line, but I'm not exactly stellar. Some of the songs that I go to on that one are N.I.B. by Black Sabbath, Miss Murder by A.F.I. Once Upon a Time I learned how to play God of Thunder by Kiss, and every now and then I will make another valiant attempt at trying to learn how to play, which one is it? Parabola by Tool. Every bassist knows the song. Yeah, that one. If you know that one, you already know it. Moving on! Dahlia asked the question, what is one of the cringiest movie including soundtrack? First of all, I am not exactly a huge fan of the popular idea of cringe. When I was but a wee tot, cringe was just, you saw it or you witnessed it and you went, ooh. But now it's really this thing to make fun of people who are awkward or do weird and uncomfy things, and now we point and laugh. And although I understand some people should be pointed and laughed at, I want to get one thing straight. When I say something is cringe, usually that is in a good context. So with that being said, I think the only movie that comes to mind that I would describe as profoundly cringe would be Kung Pao Enter the Fist. And I love that movie. For those who don't know, Kung Pao is a movie that was created by Steve Odekirk, the guy who directed the second Ace Ventura movie and was the producer of Jimmy Neutron. Boy genius. This mind brought us Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Kung Pao is a parody of Kung Fu flicks, and you can tell that there's a lot of love that went into it because he's playing on the tropes, he is not making fun of it in a mean way. You can tell that he actually loves Kung Fu movies. But with that, he took an old movie, I forget even what the name of the movie is, put himself in the movie by putting his face over the main character, or completely fabricating new scenes to put into the movie, such as the scene where he is soloing an entire field of martial artists, or the scene with the one boob lady. whose name is Wah. This movie is a gem, and I do understand why some people wouldn't appreciate it. Because this guy basically just said, hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to do it. And with a whole bunch of low-budget CGI and green screen, he put himself in a movie that he enjoyed and made it his own, while at the same time making sure to credit the original movie, saying, yeah, this was the movie that I lifted all of the scenes from, and then dubbed my own voice. He is all of the voices. Whether it's the female lead Ling, whether it's Betty, aka Master Pain, he is all of the voices. Every so often, and when I say every so often, I mean multiple times a week, I catch myself just because that's the noise that Betty, the bad guy, winds up making throughout the movie. Or which is the noise that Ling makes. And there's a whole scene where Master Pain and Ling are communicating with each other, and there's just a whole bunch of and if you've never seen the movie, this is absolute freaking nonsense. But that's exactly why I love this movie. But I have to go ahead and recognize it is very cringe. Next question comes from Estrella. What are some favorite comfort foods of your system, such as Chinese, spaghetti, grilled cheese, tater tot hot dish? There's tater tot hot dish? I'm thinking hot pot. Jesus Christ. I have not had nearly enough caffeine.
Tater tot hot dish is literally just casserole.
Tater tot hot dish is literally just casserole? Oh, that sounds fucking delicious.
It is.
I'm not going to list everybody in my system and say this is their favorite food, this is their favorite food. It's kind of a collective feeling. Amongst the comfort foods we go to include peanut butter and jellies, Nutty Bars, because yes, I know they're called Nutty Buddies now, and no, it's not fucking Mandela, that goddamn time wizard. It is just, they changed the name from Nutty Bar to Nutty Buddy. Nutty Bars with milk. Chinese food, of course. I'll get back to that one. I had a list in my head and I didn't write it down. Cheese quesadillas, which is silly that I have to make the distinction, but now quesadillas, which is literally just cheese tortilla. Now there are multiple different types of cheese tortillas, quesadillas. Cheese quesadilla with red pepper flakes in the middle and garlic butter on the outside because I flip it over. I basically make it like a grilled cheese just with tortillas. But yeah, of course, for me, I feel like it is, maybe some people don't like Chinese food, and I know it's very Americanized. The Chinese food that you get for takeout or takeaway or whatever is not what you're gonna get in China. It is very distinctly Chinese takeout. And I love that shit. But I grew up around how do I want to phrase it? I don't have a script. When I was a young warthog, thank you, Peanut Gallery. I appreciate it. When I was a wee lad, I was very familiar with one Chinese place, and that was the only place we ever went, and it was my favorite. So now when I say I love Chinese, I have this image, this idea of what I'm hoping for and anticipating. And if what I'm getting from there doesn't hold a candle to my nostalgia, I don't want it. Like, I love crab rangoon. One of the places around here that makes crab rangoon. I can't order it because it's not close enough. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It's just not what I'm looking for when I say I want crab rangoon. And the final comfort food. I know that I have to admit that there's a little bit of cringe here because it's an evil corporation in which I'm talking about, but McDonald's. Really just that simple. Not even just the 2 cheeseburgers with a 6-piece nugget, large drink, and medium fry. It's really that simple. If I'm going to spend a few extra bucks to get my comfort food, that might be one of them. The McChicken strips aren't that bad either. April asks the question, everyone's favorite book, ... including your partners and their headmates too. I don't like using this word in these videos, but no. You're asking for myself and my partner and every multiple included. That's at least 10 people. That's at least 10 different opinions that we are giving right there. So I will give you my answer, which I'm using this book as the favorite book because everybody in my noggin agrees that this is a good book and one of the favorites, and that is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. It is a science fiction written in the 50s or the 60s, and it basically poses the question, what if there was a peaceful invasion by an extraterrestrial force? And it's fascinating because there's so many different points of view that are used and writing styles. The first portion is narrative, talking about what happened, how humanity responded, and what the demands of the overlords were, and what the overlords did when humanity continued to break these new rules. Non-violent, non-lethal methods, such as putting their ship over a warring area in Africa. After they said no more warfare, these people continued to do the warfare. They reversed the polarity of the sun and its effects. So instead of grass growing, grass was dying. Everything was dying. Instead of getting vitamin D was being depleted. And they finally got to the point like, fine, we'll stop. And then the ship goes off and moves away. And mind you, at this point, the entire world is covered with different alien ships. Somewhere in Spain, there is a bullfighting spectacle. I forget what to call it. And they're doing the bullfighting, and instead of doing anything lethal or dangerous, this was against the new rules. So what they do, the overlords emit a high-pitched noise that makes everybody feel like they are dying and then pass out. And then when everybody wakes back up, they go, let's not let that happen again. But everybody's completely unharmed. No physical damage, emotional damage, psychological damage. It was just so quick and so immediately traumatizing that they went, oh, yeah, let's not do that again. Let's not let us experience that again. And then in the second half of the first of 3 portions, we follow this character who's like the concierge to the Overlord Ambassador, Corellin. And Corellin does not show himself. None of them show themselves. And Corellin is just a floating orb. And it's just a speaker that he's speaking through. And it goes on, and it's really cool and really well thought out. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you get the chance to read this book and you like sci-fi, do it. It's really good. It's really well written, really well put together, and it's not like there is a twist ending, but each portion has a twist ending, and it's really cool, and it's really able to get people interested because it's more a philosophical exercise than it is an alien invasion story. It's just that the alien invasion is the prompt to explore a whole bunch of different other things, to comment on society and the way that we do culture and the way that social contracts don't have to be this way. And it's really cool. It's really interesting. It's one of those that changed my brain chemistry. Oh, also, My partner said that their collective says, we just like to read. Moving on. Sarah asked the question, do you like horror? If so, what is your favorite book, movie, game? We don't have enough time right here. I am going to answer it, but we're going to come back to this one real quick and answer the next one first. Zenity System. Did you ever have a favorite repetitive exercise from your martial arts training? For example, I could spend all day spinning bow staff and figure eights. I have made mention before that I practice martial arts and to some extent would consider myself a novice martial artist. I am no means formally trained. I did a little bit of Taekwondo. I was trained by a friend in high school, a little bit of kickboxing, and everything else is basically self-taught. And when I tell other martial artists who take themselves much more seriously than myself, I wind up getting laughed at or told I'm silly when I tell my story. So here it is. When I was a child, I was a fan of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was also incredibly bullied, and I wanted to learn martial arts so I could defend myself. My family said, no, you're just going to fight back, and you're going to leave some kids bloody. And I'm like, well, fuck me then, I guess. But my want to learn did not stop at, no, we're not setting you up with formal training. Then along comes a movie by the name of Bulletproof Monk. And I'm not going to explain the whole entire thing. Let's just say that Sean William Scott and Chow Yun-fat are the main characters of this movie. And Chow Yun-fat is the nameless Bulletproof Monk. And Sean William Scott, if you aren't familiar, is Stifler from the American Pie movies. He is a pretty much orphaned dude who grew up on the streets, has a job running a old theater that plays old martial arts movies, and basically being the only person, because it's owned by an old Chinese dude, so he basically runs the store himself under the employment of the owner of the theater. And he copies and mimics and learns martial arts by following all of the movements in these martial arts movies. I'm like, you know what? I know this is a movie, but I'm 11, and if that guy can do it, I can do it. And that's been my thought process ever since. And ever since then, I have learned little bits here and there and just repeated the little bit that I learned. Repeated the little bit that I learned from books, from movies, from TV shows, from anything that I can get my hands on martial arts related through middle school, through high school. And then later on in life, the wonderful world of YouTube is bringing demonstrations to my face immediately, just at the click of a button. So now I'm basically doing what Sean William Scott's character did in that movie, watching, learning, repeating, mimicking, learning what I can and putting it all together, and there is no one thing that I know better than the other. If I am going to point one out, it's going to be Tai Chi, with a little bit of Wing Chun, and for a while there I was really interested in Muay Thai, but I kind of dropped that after a while. I pull from everywhere, and then after doing the different things over and over, I find ways to put them all together, and it's more about learning how my body moves, having the muscle memory of all of these things together. And there are, in fact, quite a few different repetitive exercises that I go back over. Normally, I just start with the basic Tai Chi form, and then I go back into the very little basic stances from Wing Chun, and then I let myself get carried away from there, picking and pulling from what I know. And the funny thing is, in the martial arts, I guess you could say community, internet community, there is an overwhelming opinion that you need a master, you need a sifu, you need a sensei to be able to do martial arts at all. And although I understand, especially having traditions and wanting to stave off some kind of appropriation, I understand that. But there are some people that don't have the privilege to be able to afford lessons. And it's not like this is the Karate Kid. It's not like the average person is just going to stumble onto an old wizened master who's just going to train them in kung fu or karate in exchange for chores around the house. So there are some people that would love to learn to be able to protect and defend themselves, and something like what I do would be more accessible or could be encouraged by somebody like me to put forth the effort and take the time to figure something out to still learn and get into it and feel like you're doing something meaningful with yourself and with your time. Where was I going? Oh, right, I remember now. Early on in my uploading history on YouTube, I have a parody video which is titled Martial Arts Demonstration, I think. And that was weapons. Weapons. Not only do I have weapons, but that I know how to use them properly. And I had watched so many martial arts demonstrations that I wanted to parody some of them. So I picked this weird character that I was playing with. Hang on, I think I'm forgetting something. Alright, better. The same character that was in the, oh my god, what did I call it? Surviving the hardcore scene? Where I'm basically making a caricature of myself and my own previous bad feelings about the hardcore scene, hardcore music, making fun of people. I'm supposed to be somebody that you don't like. It's kind of like a precursor, if you're familiar with my Egoverse, a precursor to the Yvonne Bathory character, where you're not supposed to want to like this guy. He's a douchebag, somehow he knows what he's talking about, but he is clearly not somebody you actually want to look up to. Tried using it in my LARPing campaign, and I was rejected this weapon because it's not wrapped in foam and it's actually wood and it could hurt. Just means there's not real warriors playing Belagarth. So then I took that same character that was meet me in the hate-breed pit, pussies, and making fun of all of these people in the hardcore scene. I was making fun of myself. So now I'm making fun of myself and my father with the fake Sifu martial artist. And I am showing some of my favorite exercises with the staff. Alright, and the third weapon that I'm going to demonstrate, this thing. I don't know if I'm going to call it a bow staff, because it's pretty heavy to be a bow staff. Because I'm actually pretty sure it's just a oak wood pole that I got from Ace Hardware. But it also works pretty good as a spear. The spear, the poor replica Spartan sword that I had at the time, and the Spartan sword. Actually, it's a little long to be a Spartan sword, and kind of broke the handle off of it. Had it for about 10 years. It was a wall ornament for a while. But I'm going to let you know that I know how to use it. The katana, a wooden practice katana that was bent. My second weapon that I'm going to demonstrate is the katana. Now, I know these are all just wood weapons, but they make for good practice. And this one is actually my girlfriend's ex's, but he left it behind, so it's mine now, and it's really kind of bent. Art imitates life, anyhow. And it was supposed to be bad. It was supposed to be low budget. It was supposed to be silly. I had a shirt that at the end, I sort of just and rip off. Until next time. And I'm standing there shirtless, all gut hanging out and everything, like, that's enough for today. Much love. Peace out. Namaste. And Momotai. It was so dumb. And I'm sitting there vaping in between demonstrations, and it was a lot of fun. So if you want to go check that out, I'm probably going to put that at the end of the video for one of the liked or recommended whatever. I like martial arts. Let's get back to Sarah's question. Do you like horror? If so, what's your favorite book, movie, games? I am wearing a Junji Ito shirt. This is A.M.A. I am a fan of horror. However, it's not something that I talk about a whole lot. Sometimes I do. But horror to me is an experience. When other people talk about horror, I feel like they wind up talking about a lot of the classic slashers, a lot of the classic thrillers, or they are somebody who is really an aficionado and is recommending and talking about some of the more low-budget gems that are out there, talking about it, explaining the movie in their videos and why you should go out of your way to find it and watch it. And I appreciate that. I like that. There's been a lot of good recommendations. But the way that I want to talk about horror is more like Super Eye Patch Wolf. If you're not familiar with Super Eye Patch Wolf, he is an Irish video essay content creator on YouTube who goes into depths talking about anime, horror, any nerdy thing that he's into. And he's talked about things like how horror affects us, talking about The Shining, talking about a lot of the horror media that he's into. One of my favorite videos of all time is by him, and it's Horror in Impossible Places, which is a video essay on liminality, and how liminality is used in horror. I love horror as a concept and an experience. I'm not like a horror movie junkie. In example, some of my favorite horror media is Junji Ito. I feel like a lot of horror takes these out there wild things like haunted houses or slashers, or sometimes the more emotional, drama-driven, supernatural thrillers such as, what's the name of it? Hereditary. Something that Junji Ito does is takes normal, everyday concepts, such as spirals, or the commonplace violence towards women, Tomie, such as the stink of fish and the horrors of the sea. His book called Gyo is that. And the spirals is Uzumaki. And he makes these everyday things terrifying. And I think that is incredible because it makes us look at our normal every Monday lives a little bit differently. And I appreciate the hell out of that. There's something about this unspoken domestic horror that people like Shirley Jackson really touch on with the original Haunting of Hill House. Is that Haunting of Hill House? The one that A Haunting and the Netflix adaptation were based on. There's a lot of... Shirley Jackson was the master of domestic horror, pointing out how the mundanity of life, especially being a woman in the 50s and 60s, really drives somebody mad, because that was her life, and writing sort of seemed like her escape. Junji Ito kind of takes that same sort of thing and goes, yeah, but what if the spatula had teeth? And I love that. And as another aside, I just in general love watching a movie or watching a video essay or an opinion piece on a movie, and that being the vehicle through which horror is recommended, because I love movies that are horror, but for me, the best horror is the things that make you feel. The things that make you go, oh, that's uncomfy. Because something is accomplished through this media that makes us realize that some of the most mundane things are actually terrifying. The mundane feelings. Take, for example, the movie Antrim, which is got its own hype around it for being the most dangerous or deadly movie ever. And it's a low-budget movie where these two kids are going through the woods, and they've got this... The older sister has this book, and she says that this mysterious figure has gifted her the book, and everything in it is bestowed onto her by this figure. I forget the figure's name that she gave it. But as they're going through the woods, it's becoming more and more real. It's like it's manifesting. And what they're trying to do is lay their dog to rest, because their dog passed away. And as they go on in the woods, trying to find a good spot, and as they're camping out a couple of nights, the things in the book are becoming real, until finally she looks at her little brother and is like, I made it up. It's all made up. I don't know how this is happening. I lied to you. I'm sorry, but what is going on? The whole story that I gave you, and yet in spite of her making up the entire thing, is coming to life, and it's becoming real. And it's not just a matter of the story itself, it's the way that it's shot, and it's this really grainy, lo-fi sensation with low-budget CGI to give us these flaming hellfires in the background that get overlaid with them walking over the hill in the blips. There's also little clips of like snuff films that are like spliced into the footage, and there's little scratches of, basically it looks like the sigil of Astaroth, one of the 72 Goetic demons, and it's just so cool the way that they basically turned this movie into a full-blown art piece. But why that does something for me is that there's this background feeling that I myself feel, it's never gone. And I feel like a lot of people who were affected by this movie, even though it is an art piece, it's not a legitimate movie. The story that goes to the reputation is sort of like the Blair Witch, where even though the Blair Witch more was an ARG, this is just a story to lend gravitas to the feeling and sensation of the movie while you're watching and experiencing. I feel like the people who are affected by it also have this sort of feeling that is already present within them, and by watching this movie, it comes up to the surface, and now you're watching as this feeling is now imprinted and reflected back to you in this movie. And that's what I love about horror. And that's why movies like that are the ones that I wind up liking a lot. And that will conclude the April A.M.A. There is not going to be a May A.M.A., unfortunately, and this is where we are going to segue into the channel update to explain why I wasn't very active on the Patreon or on YouTube for the better part of the last 2 months at this point, at the time I'm filming this. And that's because at the beginning of April, I was informed that I was going to have to move. The place that we were living is only ever meant to be temporary, and now it's going on 6 months. So I had to really buckle down and put forth more effort into finding a job. And then once I found a job, the first 2 weeks I was working there was pretty much full-time, and I was learning, and I was resting, and I wasn't really able to secure a proper sleep schedule. And then as time moved on, I was not getting the hours that I was hoping, and at the same time still recovering and recouping from having this odd sort of schedule while training. And realizing that I am not going to be able to make enough money to save to get out by the time that we need to, I started putting more effort into asking for help and support on TikTok, and I started doing more of the dating interaction videos again, and that being the medium through which I was doing a lot of the Please Consider, talking about what's going on in my life, and that may have been not the best idea, because there was a group of people that did take issue with that, and I did get upset. I'm still not okay with some of the things that were said, but whatever. But it did give me a chance to reflect on myself and go, well, maybe it isn't the best idea to be doing dating interaction videos, putting that out to the witchy community, and it is just something that I did for so long. I don't even know if I myself buy 100% what I am doing with those videos. All I know is I was panicked, I was scared, and I'm trying to raise money to be able to move, and now, since then, I have slowed down on making TikTok content. I am better recuperated from the new schedule and not knowing when I'm going to be scheduled and only getting 12 to 20 hours a week, which isn't enough. So now I am refocusing on doing Patreon again and looking for a better job with better hours so I can actually do what I need to do. And I am happy to say that I have 1 month extended to be able to do what I need to do to get my shit together, and it's been incredibly stressful, and I have been very anxious, very panicked, and I haven't been able to focus. I have been working, I've been also putting in applications to places to live. All of these different things have been going on, which has been taking away my ability to focus on the Patreon and do what I need to do, that I need to actually be a successful, well-rounded Patreon host. And I want to apologize for that, because I do not feel like I have been doing very good keeping up with Patreon, when especially a decent number of people are paid patrons, because for the most part, most of what is available you can access for free, whether it is questions, comments, concerns, audience participation, suggestions. The A.M.A. is open to anybody who is both free as well as a paid patron, but the early releases are for paid patrons, this being an example of being available a week ahead of time. And that really is the only incentive that I have on my Patreon. And when I'm not doing that, I am failing my end of the bargain. And I do want to apologize for not being able to be more dedicated to what I need to do and what I said I was going to do. Which is why, moving forward, I am going to do better to try and get my own shit together so I can make it work for everybody's while. But this is what's going on. It's not an excuse, but this is what has been going on, which has been taking away from my ability to be more productive on the platforms that I have set up. And with that, I want to thank everybody who supported the channel in April and May with a quick shout out. AJ, Amanda L, April B, Estrella, Danielle, Desert Chick. I think I was saying that correctly. There are no vowels, but I'm pretty sure if I were to infer, it would be Desert Chick. Kevin M, Kizu, Lisa S, Melissa D, Matthias, Rachel V.A., Sarah H, Shannon H, Squirrel, Ty_Vu. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If not, please correct me in the comments. And also, last but not least, Nikki. Thank you all so much for your support, for still being here, for humoring me while I'm going through a trying time, and just being around and enjoying the content. And to everybody else, if you are still here, I want to thank you for listening. And as always, take care and much love.